Hey everyone, it's Carissa and welcome to Satur-YAY, where we're celebrating the weekend by getting our craft on. And today it is all about fun with felt. Now in front of me, I have a bunch of this Tailored Expressions 100% wool felt, and this felt is to die for because it die cuts beautifully. No pun intended, or maybe there was. But anyway, it also comes in beautiful colors, which makes this felt so much more special. And it comes in these packs of 3 that all kind of coordinate together. So you see the pinks and the reds and the neutrals there. So I am going to show you a few different projects featuring this felt and a few different ways you can use it. And first I wanted to show you how beautifully this die cuts. So I am using the Up the Happy die set here. It coordinates with the Up the Happy stamp set from the Essentials by Ellen Line, and I'll be using that as well. And I have the clouds from that die set, and I am using it to cut the marshmallow felt from Tailored Expressions. And you can see here, I'm just running this through with my regular sandwich. I'm not using any extra shims. I'm not using the precision base plate. And you can see when I pulled it out there, it cut beautifully and there's no little stray like little fringy edges or anything like that. That's because this is a really high quality felt. Now, if you were to buy just a regular craft store felt, some of the cheapy felt, it doesn't die cut as nicely. But this die cuts beautifully. So now that I have all of my pieces cut, I'm going to just plan out my card front. And I've cut a few of those clouds as well as that balloon. And that balloon I cut from the Aqua Mist felt, which is just a beautiful color. And I have this sentiment. It's from the Up the Happy stamp set. And I'm going to use my mini Misty to stamp it into the corner of my card front here. So I've positioned the sentiment where I want it, and then I close the lid of the Misty to pick up the stamp. And now I'm inking it up in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink and stamping it onto the card front. Now, I am using a linen cardstock here, and because it has a little bit of texture, I didn't get as smooth of an impression as I want. But the cool thing about the Misty is all I have to do is open it back up, ink it up again, and then close it, and it's going to stamp it in exactly the same spot. So I can build up that ink, and even though I didn't get a great impression the first time, with that second layer of ink, I have a perfect sentiment on my card front. So I'm going to set that aside while I go ahead and finish working on my card. I'm just tying a little regular string. It's not twine. It's not anything fancy. It's just some regular package string that I just happen to have on hand. And I'm tying that around my balloon. And then I'm going to start adhering my felt pieces onto my card front. Now I'm using a little bit of Tombow Mono Multi-Glue here. I did experiment with the multi-medium and the matte finish for this, but the bond that I was getting was not quick enough for me. So I used the Mono Multi-Glue, and I just found it worked better for this particular application. But I will bring in the multi-matte medium here to adhere this string onto my card front. Now, I chose the multi-medium in the matte finish for this string because if it seeped out the edges of that string, I knew that it wouldn't leave a shiny finish and you wouldn't be able to see the adhesive on my card front. So I kind of looped that string around and then glued it in place. And then I also glued down my balloon, and I'm just using a clear block over the top of that to keep that in place while it dries and sets up a little bit. And now I'm cutting down a piece of this Shape-N Tape. This is the We Are Memory Keepers black Shape-N Tape. And I am going to use it with the backer on, just as if it were a piece of cardstock. And I added a little bit of adhesive to the side of that, and then I'm just positioning my card front over the top of that, just to kind of create a little interest down that side, and kind of repeat that black element that I have in that bold black sentiment. Now, before I adhere this onto my card front, I went ahead and used my 3/8 inch corner chomper to chomp the corners. And then you can see here, I added some stitching lines to the side. And my sewing machine totally messed it up. Now, the first line that I sewed was great. Perfect. And then I decided, oh, I'm going to add one more line. And that's where it all went bad, people. So sometimes you just have to say, and I had this gut feeling that it was going to happen. And I should have stopped while I was ahead, but I didn't. So I'm salvaging this. I trimmed off all that mess of threads. And then I reinforced the back of that with a little Be Creative tape so that my stitches wouldn't come out. And I'm finishing this card off with some sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. And I did adhere that card front onto the card base using some foam adhesive. So now it's time for our second project. I'm going to use the all inside stamp and die combination. I am going to stamp on this felt. So keep in mind, this is felt, it's very fibrous, and you're not going to get the pristine results that you get on cardstock, but it is still something that you can do, and it's kind of fun to do every now and then. So I am using the Stays On Jet Black ink to stamp this little bear onto that die cut piece. Once again, I cut that out of some marshmallow felt from Tailored Expressions. And you can see here, I have my cute little bear stamped onto that marshmallow felt. Now, I didn't get quite the impression that I wanted, so I took a chance here and I re-stamped him. I could have left him in the Misty had I thought about it, but I didn't. And so I re-stamped and I got a little bit darker impression. And you can see here, I have this adorable, it kind of reminds me of the Coca-Cola polar bears. Do you guys remember those? And so I am going to put one of those little hearts in his hand, and I am going to make a tag out of this. So I've cut my tag out from some linen cardstock, and now I'm going to emboss this circle onto it. It's the Wonky Stitch circle. So I have my Big Shot platform on tab 1, and then I have my cutting plate, and then I have the Sizzix silicone pad, my paper, my die, and then my second cutting plate, and then that debossed that Wonky Stitch circle die onto my tag front. And that just kind of creates a focal image for my bear, kind of a place to frame him out so that some attention is brought to him. Now I'm putting a little sentiment onto this. This is from that All Inside stamp set as well, and I've just stamped that onto the edge of the tag using some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And I had also stamped the word inside right along the bottom of that, but I decided I didn't like it, so I used the bear to cover that up. Always got to find ways to cover our mistakes, right? And then I'm attaching my bear onto the front of the tag using that Tombow Mono Multi Glue again. Now, I thought this needed a little more color, so I went ahead and colored in that love sentiment using a Zig Clean Color Real Brush marker in Scarlet Red. And then I'm going to emboss this inside part of the sentiment onto some Licorice Twist cardstock from Basil. So I've prepped the surface with a little EK Success powder tool. I stamped that in some Versamark ink, and then I'm added my white superfine detail embossing powder, and now I'm just heat setting that. And then I kind of just trimmed it down into a little banner shape, and I attached it onto my tag front using a little foam adhesive. And I just think that stamped bear on top of that felt is so much fun. Now for my final project, I'm going to make some paper clips to use in my planner or even around on your desk. You can use these. And so I'm starting out here by making a bow template from the 123 punch board from We Are Memory Keepers. And I'll link a video here that shows you exactly how to make those because I use this 123 punch board in some little goodie bags around the holiday season. And I'm just using that paper template there to cut out this licorice felt from Tailored Expressions. You can see when I fold that over, it's going to create a bow. Now, in order to attach it onto this paper clip, I'm going to use just a little hot glue gun, and I've stuck just a little drop of it there in the center. And I'm using some gold paper clips because they are my paper clips after all. I mean, we can't have silver paper clips in the craft room of Carissa Wiley, right? So I'm just using some gold paper clips here. I'm attaching that on, and then I'm wrapping that bow back over on itself. So I'm looping these ends around into that center part where that hot glue is, and that creates my bow. And then just to finish it off, I've cut just a teeny tiny strip to go around the circle of the bow to kind of finish that off. And once again, I'm just attaching that with some hot glue. Now, I always burn myself with hot glue. So this time I decided I wasn't going to do that. And I used my scissors to push that little center piece down so I wouldn't burn myself, but then I ruined my scissors. So go figure, right? So there you have it, a little bow paper clip, super cute to use around your office or in your planner, whatever you might want to do. And now I'm going to use a couple of these hearts. I cut these out when I was using that All Inside die cut set. And I just cut those out from some felt. This is the strawberry felt and the aqua mist felt. And once again, I'm just attaching those paper clips right in the center. And then I've cut a second heart that I'm just going to layer right over the top. So that paper clip is going to be sandwiched between those two felt hearts. And it's just a fun way to use your felt in something other than a card or paper crafting project. So you can see here, I'm also creating some with these little kind of flags at the top. These are from the My Favorite Things Feathers and Arrows die set. And I just thought it'd be a fun kind of little page marker for a book or my planner, or even just to use in the office. Now, I was having so much fun with this felt that I went ahead and created one more project. I actually used a bow die to cut this bow for the top of this little goodie bag here. And then I just embossed a little sentiment on a tag for that. Super cute. And here's a look back at all of the projects that I created today using all that fabulous felt. Having so much fun with the fabulous felt. As always, I will have all the products used in these projects linked in the description at YouTube, as well as over at the Classroom blog where you can see more still shots and find more information. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.